And we'll read from number 64. Make light of the small and lose the great. Railroad executive James Hill, whose Great Northern Railway was completed in 1893, arrived one day in the ritzy Seattle Hotel in the state of Washington. He soon sent orders for the entire hotel staff to gather in the lobby. Everyone was excited at the prospect of receiving a fat tip from the newly rich chief executive. Soon the beaming Hill appeared. Today, I will be staying in this hotel. I wanted to give each of you a little something to mark the start of our relationship, but unfortunately, I do not have sufficient cash with me. Please accept this small token of my appreciation. I will be back in 2 weeks, so keep it carefully until then. He proceeded to hand each worker a 50-cent coin made of nickel. People's hopes having been high, their disappointment was correspondingly great. The bellhops sneered or fumed. Some went so far as to hurl their coin out the window. Most people spent their 50 cents on tobacco or the bathhouse before the week was out. When Hill returned, as promised, 2 weeks later, he assembled the 100-odd staff in the lobby again. If you still have the nickel coin I gave you the other day, please speak up. I will exchange it now for a $5 gold coin. When one young man who had scrupulously followed Hill's instructions handed over his coin, Hill turned it over and checked it before replacing it with a $5 coin. 2 or 3 other youths exchanged glances and then fished nickel coins from their wallets. But, Hill said, the coins I handed out have a special mark on them. These do not. Does anyone else have one of the nickel coins I passed out 2 weeks ago? Step right up. But no one did. He who makes light of the small loses loses. He who makes light of the small loses the great. This must have been the message Hill sought to convey to the hotel workers. So the story comes to show us what happens when we have expectations. Especially as Hill explains here, there was a purpose or a reason behind his action. So the mindfulness that he was cultivating in being able to foresee, or as we share in Buddhism, to have the wisdom to know exactly what he was doing, be mindful about his actions when sharing this gift with people. There was a lot of purpose there, and we talk about purpose in Buddhism. So especially when we talk about our life and the meaning that it has, how purposeful it is for us to be able to wake up every day and experience this life. Similarly, he had a purpose for the staff here at this hotel, as we learned, but because some of the staff were not able to see beyond that moment or beyond that interaction, the lack of wisdom, the lack of mindfulness resulted in, as we later read on here, resulted in their actions, or their lack of commitment, or we like to say their lack of hope or faith. And it comes to show how sometimes in life, even though we're presented with certain situations, if we're not able to cultivate that mindfulness to be able to understand, and this is one of our paramitas, to have the wisdom to see past the present moment and recognize that whatever the situation or whatever action we must take, we must always stay present and mindful of why we're taking that action. What's the purpose of making that effort? And what's the purpose of perhaps even sticking with that effort rather than going on and, as so clearly depicted here, maybe spending that 50 cents or throwing it out the window, right? Seeing it for what it is in that moment. But just as James Hill had the foresight to look ahead, when we come closer to the Dharma and we cultivate our mindfulness and that awareness to stay present and be able to cultivate more and more our wisdom, any situation that presents itself, even if we're not able to fully see the impact of our actions, as we've learned in the law of cause and effect, that effort that we make or that we cultivate, right? In this case, holding on to those 50 cents, we're able to understand that whatever effort we make in this moment will resonate in the time to come. So it's a great example of, or this story is a great example of how we must keep that trust and that hope. Similarly to when we listen to the Dharma, that all the efforts that we're making are eventually getting us closer and closer to that divine light or the light of Buddha, which is what we talk about, and being able to connect with our authentic selves. So that's our story for today. Thank you for listening. Hope you have a beautiful day and take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Have a good week.